Then they take your land. And when they take your land, they take your homes. And when they take the homes and the land, they take the businesses and the ceremonial grounds. So, as a nation of people, as a tribal people with other chiefs here, with a clan mother on the line, we have no problem with our citizens or nationals having dual citizenship. You have to work. I have a business. Crane has a business. Mutt has a business. In order for us to make sure our paperwork is right, being that we're using United States Reserve, their currency, we have to do business based on their energy. When you have your own currency, the business starts to function or the nation starts to function within its own based off what it has. I'm going to give you an idea. The Yamasee have something called Cahokia coin. If you understand Cahokia coin, or if you understand cryptocurrency, the currency is raised by what? The frequency. This is what creates the currency. So when they decide to do business with each other, they don't have to do business in the United States dollar. They don't have to do business in the peso or the yen. They have their own form of currency, regardless of if it's a cryptocurrency and or if it was a physical currency. Secondly, if anyone has to pay taxes, we have no problem or no issue paying anything that we owe. We were in a contract that say that we owe this because we did this, or we're obligated to renew this license because we need it to operate in their capacity. That's exactly what we're going to do as nationals and or dual citizens. But those that choose not to, they lose their leaders and lose their lands. They lose their culture and then have to ask questions about things that were they fucked up at to you. Now, next, we were asked, are your nationals dual citizens? Answer, it depends. Explanation, not all of anyone is anything. There are nationals that are also freedmen in the Muskogee Creek Nation while not having Muskogee citizenship. We have citizens that are dual citizens. They live in the United States, work in the United States, and follow the laws within that capacity, the same as one should when they have dual nationality. Now, it didn't stop there. We have more questions. So with your national process, can you pull Native Americans out of state and federal prison? Or better yet, can you prevent them from going altogether? Remember what I just said about tax evasion. Here's the answer. Yes. And we reserve the right to defend our own in our courts, city, state, and federal, city, state, federal, and international courts. If they belong in them or the prisons, we will leave them there to be. Our law has no death penalty, so we will hold them for federal intervention in specific situations. What does that mean? It means that when you know who you are and operate in your capacity, of course you can go defend yours in the court of law. Whose court of law? Their court of law. Now, I asked this guy, I said, well, damn, what have your clan mothers done to show your nation that they can defend their nation? What have your clan mothers done for their chiefs when they've been taken or subjected to United States court? What have your clan mothers done? Well, I don't know what they've done. And these are the questions that I posed. He ran from my questions, but I'll answer them. So I asked, do you have a birth certificate and or state driver's license? When you purchase firearms, are you taxed or is your nation involved with the transaction? What does your tribal law say about paying taxes and or joining the military? In what ways have your clan mothers defended their chief in any court of law? Does the laws of the United States government supersede your tribal government? Exceeds what your tribal government has instilled? What is the name of your tribal nation? Are there any international treaties with other nations? Do you drive to the store? And if you do you have a state or tribal tag? Which tribal leaders do you have today which do not use any forms of tax tracking, as I mentioned? What do you use? Does your tribe have their own form of payment in their land? What is it? Is your blood family familiar with your tribal constitution that you took an oath to? And has ignoring all legal standing and commercial obligations and hiding from legal responsibilities hurt your nation and or its leader? Now, I was told by asking these questions that my questions were loaded. And in my questions being loaded, question 1 through 3 were ignored. And questions 1 through 3 were ignored. One says, well, all of that is answered on our blue backs on public record. So let me answer these for you from his point of view. He has a birth certificate. He has a driver's license, which means what? He's in contract with the United States, which means what? He pays taxes. So if you're an indigenous person in contract with the United States and you need that contract, there's no problem with paying those taxes at that time. When you purchase firearms, are you taxed? Or is your nation involved with the transaction? He's taxed. But he's telling people to give up their social security number, to give up their birth certificate, while he uses his social security number to purchase firearms. Not only this, your nation isn't involved in the transaction because the United States government don't give arms to the Indians. This is why dual citizenship is needed. So a woman like Shayla, a woman like Omi, who works in the field, when they need protection, even as indigenous women, they can use their dual citizenship to carry the ratchet. But ain't nobody thinking like that. Let's go on to number 3. What does your tribal law say about paying taxes and joining the military? The Nuwapians are supposed to pay taxes and join the military. I was there. I mastered it. So again, to teach people that they should do away with certain things when you're using them to occupy in your capacity is crazy as shit. You have to beware of these niggas when they teaching you this. Ask them that they ever do anything they're telling you to do. In what ways have your clan mothers defended their chief in the court of law? When Dr. York went to jail, none of those women defended him in the court of law because they didn't stand up for him. Somebody else had to send lawyers for the master teacher. When I went to court for the gun charge, I asked who was there, she on the phone. And I had on my headdress. And before the court proceeding start, the judge said, before we do official business, Mr. Davis, I want to let you know that you shouldn't even be in this courtroom. I apologize, not on behalf of the state of Florida, but on behalf of its citizens, on behalf of its people. And then they started business and then told me, hey, you don't got to be here. My clan mother was there. So you don't have to ask me. She showed face. This is called character witness. What does your tribal nation have to say if you get in trouble under the jurisdiction of the United States? But you niggas think that you can do wrong and then go back to your tribe and then they protect you from doing wrong. This is you niggas' problems now. Y'all want to do fraud. Y'all want to scam and then say, well, my nation's going to protect me from doing fraud and scamming. As if nobody's going to come get on your nation. Does the laws of the United States government supersede what your tribal government has instilled? No. What is the name of your tribal nation? All of that extra shit, he has a tag. So now let's get to the meat and bones. 11. Has ignoring all standing legally and commercial obligations hiding or hiding from your legal responsibilities hurt your nation? It has hurt his nation. To ask me some shit like that when we're in good standings, when we are in good standings, to ask me that when your nation shit got took because you were evading taxes is crazy. It's asinine. It's outsane. Because there's no way someone in their sanity will ask that question knowing what's going on in their own tribal nation. To the point that if your tribal nation owned the fucking building, why is it in $500,000 debt? How does a sovereign tribal nation that no taxes owe $500,000 debt? I'm opening up the floor. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Anybody have any questions about how to operate as a tribal nation, or anybody have any questions, or anybody just want to talk about uh, what's going on at this moment?
I mean, when you do the facts and go through the paperwork,
I'm on the road.
America is occupied by the United States as a corporation. So every tribal tribal nation within that that's recognized within that corporation is still doing business as a United States corporation.
And or they're doing business as their own corporation.
Correct.
If they study the Declaration of Independence, right, or in the indigenous people, excuse me, tribal nations have the right to enter into, create, or breach contracts with the United with any other government, even though breach of contracts is bad. But this is something that you have the right to do. So to pretend like, oh no, we gonna say fuck it, we're not doing any contracts with them. And then I ask you, well, if you want to build a house on your land, where are you gonna get materials? And you say Home Depot, we have a problem. What currency did you use to get that product from Home Depot? See where I'm going with this shit? You don't have your own gas, so you have to use the United States dollar to buy gas. Is that not a contract?
Correct.
People how to operate properly without screwing
And
themselves.
would also mean dual citizenship because if you want to go across go across the seas, you gotta have a passport. Your passport is definitely gonna say United States of America.
You had broke up, cuz. Month, you went out.
I said if you plan to travel across seas, you would need a passport. Your passport is going to say United States.
Right. And this is I asked the question. I just asked the question on Facebook, like, okay, well shit. If somebody from the Cherokee Nation go to Dubai and they're like, yeah, bro, they as United States nationals. That would be the fact of the matter. So you can actually have two nationalities. If your nation don't own a plane and you have to fly out of Miami International Airport, you have to fly as a United States national. You still have dual citizenship, but you have
I
to
think
get
you're
on that.
also
Go ahead.
asked as well on paperwork, do you have dual citizenship? And then it say
They
if
ask you
so,
facts, or
yeah.
and they let you write it in. So people are so afraid of being themselves, they trying to lead a system and still be in a system. It's like, what the fuck? Are you sure you know what you're doing, or you gonna mislead thousands?
And let's not denote that when people say that they have sovereign nationality, that's within that nation.
Fat, come on, bro. I told this man that. Why don't people want to respect others' laws and customs when they travel to their land? It's like you have a nigga can't come to your house and disrespect you, but you expect to do some vile shit and get away with it at somebody else's home in the name of sovereignty. Nigga, you crazy.
And I ain't gonna lie, I can't pull out the book just because I don't move, so my books is in storage right now. But um D.W. Bushyhead of the Cherokee Nation in 18, I want to say it was 1863 or 1867, somewhere around that time. That was that a crime that was committed by a Cherokee citizen to a Muskogee citizen on on the Muskogee citizen's property, and the person went to jail for it, or was locked up for it, and he ended up by law ended up being released, and he was tried by the clan of the person who was wronged by the mother. So that's actually on paperwork. So the mother did make the final decision on what happened to said person that was of the Cherokee Nation, and it had nothing to do with after Bushyhead was able to get him out of jail. He had nothing to do with it. It actually was taken over by Muskogee Creek. So they had all jurisdiction to the man, and
And the thing is, they don't have, like, for instance, when you have federal recognition, they don't have their own prisons. So they have to turn their citizens over to the federal government. So if you commit a crime,
you cut out. I don't know if it's on my end, but you cut out.
all right, I'm back. My bad. I had got a call. But what I was saying is there are instances, I can't remember the man's name. I did a post and video about this shit. I don't know why it ain't coming to my name. But basically, when you commit a crime on federal recognized land or federal tribal land, you get turned over to the federal government because they use them to handle certain things, right? The reason they do it is because federal tribes, state recognized tribes, are United States citizens. So though they have their own jurisdiction, their land is in the trust of the United States. So that bond that they have is a different bond. You still can be a part of a sovereign nation and be a United States citizen. But the goal is to understand the laws and not do anything to put yourself in the light that somebody gotta come get you in that way, right? There should be no way that you do a crime that involves children and a nigga say, nah, we can't handle that. We finna leave him now. Because tribally, if the men were to handle that, or if the women were to handle that, there's no strike 5, 6, 7. There's no strike 2. You get put on the chopping block. So there are reasons that there's federal intervention. There are reasons that you have to move the way that you have to move when you're in someone else's country. Like Munt said, when your jurisdiction ain't worldwide, your jurisdiction is regulated to your jurisdiction. Jurisdiction, excuse me. Had niggas been real master masons, had niggas been real tribesmen, had niggas been real gang members, they'd understand jurisdiction. But not understanding jurisdiction is why they don't understand tribal law. Because tribal law is Masonic law. Masonic law is gang law. Gang law, Masonic law, tribal law is United States law. But what is the law of the land?
There
Treaties.
also there also is jurisdictional law. as well. It definitely exists.
But all of that
That's
is
how
all
they
of that is
divide up the
jurisdictional
judges, to be
law.
honest.
The tribal law is jurisdictional law. Gang law is jurisdictional law. You got east side, west side. That's jurisdiction. Now, within east side or
Right.
west side, where are you located? Oh, I'm 60s, 40s, dubs. That's over there. Over here, you under the five or the Damu family. I'm sex, money, murder. I'm G Shine. I'm Billy. I'm this. I'm that. I'm this. I'm that. All of you have your own code of conduct and your own jurisdiction. And you better know the jurisdiction that you're operating in, because you can be in somebody in your family or your tribe's backyard and not know that you're in their backyard because you don't understand jurisdiction. What if you breeding in somebody else's jurisdiction? If you a Mason and your jurisdiction is Miami, you can't oversee the jurisdiction in Tampa unless you what? On the state board or on the big board, as I like to call it, grandma's house in the Grand Lodge. This is the same thing with tribe. This is the same thing with jurisdiction, which is a jurisdictional law. Because while people are still focused on United States law, what's above United States law? Anyone?
Maritime law. Oh, international law.
International law. Facts. So while niggas worried about dealing in United States law, what about international law and international treaties? What happens when a constitution put together by multiple families is their treaty? And then not only did they put this constitution together, they got together with the Shatta Ogla. They got together with the Lower Cherokee. They got together with the Lower Creeks. They got together with the Yamasee Seminoles. They got together with the Miccosukee. They got together with the Upper Creeks. And all of these tribal names can be found on the same paper, a friendship, a treaty, peace and friendship. So now all of these people recognize each other in what? International law. Treaty law is international law. You're dealing with nations when you deal with treaties. So now when law has to be talked about, if you understand tribal law, you understand the laws of nations. Just the basics. Then when they get into the extra shit, the 3/5 human, black people are 3/5 human. Well, shit, I ain't black. Well, what are you? Okay, when they ask my nationality or race, and I put American Indian, this takes me away from what? The part in the Constitution that says 3/5 human. But how can you prove that you are American Indian? Well, I speak my language, live and practice my culture, and I'm surrounded by people that live on the land, that know me or know my family. I really do this for real. This is how you prove that you're Indian. But people who don't have that can't prove it. That be the issue. When somebody family says that that's who they are and that's what they do, and they start moving that way, it takes an asshole Negro to start asking them about United States law when you haven't even understood tribal law. Why should people be worried about being federally or state recognized when the main purpose of tribal people like those in South America, the Yarandi or the Arawak, those Caribs who say, yeah, we don't deal with federal or state recognition. We recognize each other. Why is it so hard for people to recognize each other? You know why? They don't recognize themselves. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on, to change it up, to switch it up. This map here, I was asked the question. I was asked to explain what's going on in this map. This map basically is a slight projection or a projection of the eastern woodlands. Now, who's this? Oh, this Crane. Okay, let me add him back in. So in this projection, where I put those names, we'll start from top to bottom. Talagiwi, right? The Talagiwi are the people in the Ohio Valley. That was the name that the Lenape gave them. What it means is the people of the pine land. So think Ohio, right? Think the Buckeyes, think cones and all this different shit. Think of topography, right? When they say they got there, they said that only the Talagiwi were there. They attempted to cross their land. There was a war. Hogalugi is a river that was named in the Ohio Valley, which is similar in a different dialect. You find it in Ogeechee. So you have Hogalugi and you have Ogeechee. And Ogeechee is more of a Muskogean dialect of the actual word. The Hichiti word of Ogeechee would be Okiisi, right? Okiisi. So shit like that. Where you see Wale and Shawanoki, Shawanoki means south. It simply means south, or the shit the when you add the we, or which would become uh it's Lenape, it's Shinawi, it's Shinawi, basically like Shaniwi. That would be the proper dialect, Shaniwi. It's kind, it's Delaware Lenape. It means those who inhabit the South. It's really not even South, as the word properly translates as inhabit the land that's hot or like summer, like a moderate heat, right? That's literally what it translates to. This term was used by the Shawanoki, those of the South. They used the term Wali to explain who the people of the edge was. The that were called the Hichiti named the people Appalachia, which means those across the river, those above, those below, basically, right? But the proper term they were calling them also was those south of us or those downstream. So the Wali or the Shawanoki, right here, as you'll see, the Shawnee, all of these are different people that inhabited the southeast and different names. Eventually, they became tribal names. The Talagiwi, a lot of them became known as the Yuchi. The Shawnee, or a lot of the people in the South that migrated to the North and met with the Nanakok, became Shawnee. So now you have the Southerners who become an actual tribe mixed with the people from the South, the Talagiwi, the Lenape, and the Nanakok. So these maps are basically explaining not only the migrations, but the genetic of these people from ancient times. That would be around that 800 AD era, beginning with the green corn. So that's when you get that flow. Before that, you do have corn and specific groups of those invading or migrating people, way back about 1000 BC. So you do have proof of them in their settlements here. But that's basically what that's summing up. Let's see. All right. I did get a question. I don't remember what the question was. Shayla, you had a question on Instagram. I don't remember what it was. If you listening, would you like to ask that here?
I think it was about um like tribal migrations, and it was like there were um I
You
can't
want to
remember
read
off the
it to
top of
me?
my head. Let me see if I can get to it. We were talking about the Cherokee, but it was a Yuchi town. And
Oh, I remember. I remember everything. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. I remember everything. What you was asking me was, how did Charity Haggy, you call him the conjurer of Tugaloo, his real
right.
name, I'm giving you his real name is Charity Haggy, and you actually can Google him. Now, here's the thing. Tugaloo or Tugaloo was originally a Yuchi Zoya town, but Europeans start calling people Cherokee just off the fuck of it. You get what I'm saying? So when these people had their band, that band became known as Cherokee. The issue that they had was in that band, there were women that were Yamasi, and they weren't Yamasi as in this is the confusion. This is what I mean. When they said he called the Yamasi his ancient people, he called the Yamasi his ancient people. The question would be which group or which branch of Yamasi. And if that town is originally a Yuchi town, what is the possibility that he is Yuchi? So now we get to that. And the question will be answered in the story of Tomochichi. Tomochichi is said to be Yamasi, right? But he has an ancient tattoo of the Yuchi, of a Yuchi tattoo. So there was a camaraderie, kinship, and marital ties between the Zoya and the Yamasi, and a group of those people became known as Cherokee. So this is why some of them said, shit, I can't fight the Yamasi in general, but I'll fight the Yuchi down there in Savannah, or I'll fight the Yuchi in general. I'll fight the Catawba. I'll fight everybody. Matter of fact, I just can't fight the Cherokee. So now that he made peace with the Cherokee, I'll ask this. Do you know what happened to Charity Haggie after he made peace with the Cherokee?
Was that question to me?
Yes.
No, because I kind of stopped reading at that point because everything got confusing and I didn't want to confuse myself anymore until I figured it out. So I just stopped reading at that point.
Nah, I get it. What, like I said, what it is a lot of the Yuchi or Zoya became known as Cherokee or Tuslegi. This what I was, was explaining this before, but others got caught on the term Cherokee. They didn't catch that I was saying, hey, the Yuchi were in the Ohio Valley, and when a group of them lost, they ran into the mountains. And then they came out of the mountains, but they were known as the Tuslegi. These people had a mix or mixtures with those people named the Yama or the Yamasi, and they became the descendants of the Yuchi and the Yamasi, but they were called Cherokees. So even their towns, which are Yuchi towns, were now what? Cherokee.
So I met this lady at a powwow and she said she's Cherokee from North Carolina. So would she I don't know. I don't know. Like would she have some ancestry that was mixed with the Yama and then they went into North Carolina?
It's possible. The
Okay.
confusion also is it can be the dialect, right? So you have a group of people that called themselves Yama, but it was so that considered themselves that because they were in the Union, right? So that was just a general name. But then you have the Catawba, who are in North Carolina, who called themselves the Ishwa, but the name for people in their language is Yima. Yima. You then have the Kasabo. In their language, the word for ancient people or tamed or gentle is Yamasi. So they have the actual word Yamasi, but the word for ancient people is Yimusi. So that can be confusing because, like, wait, were they talking about the Yamasi being their ancient people? Or were they saying that the Yamasi are the ancient people? And if they were saying that, who are they talking about? This is why Charity Haggie was killed. He was literally taken to a town, a creek town, and murdered for the simple fact that they knew he had actual Confederate blood, meaning that his parents were either Kushida, Hichiti, Kawita, Wale, Kasabo. But you get them, like they were within that confederacy. So that's the most confusing part is actually finding out what branch of a certain tribe someone was. And he definitely got dead wrong for not going to war against the Yamasi. They definitely made sure they got rid of him. The same people that made him squash the beef got rid of him. So I'm open to any questions. Any questions? Because I only have this is short. I only have 2 people in here. I don't think everybody else seen the link, but
I'm almost to the spot.
say less. I'm on for another 18. So free bill, any questions, whatever. Mutt, what you got for me?
Oh, you want me to okay, let me see here. The quote, you talking
I
about the
do
quote?
have another question.
Hold that thought for me, cuz. What's talk
Yes.
to me.
Okay, so in my circumstance, mine were either like, well, my ancestors were either enslaved or they were like some type of I don't know exactly the story, but the records say they come out of North Carolina. So how can I prove that between slavery and like mislabeling people? Like, say if somebody's name is Mary, well, it's 1,000 Marys that could have been on the ship being sent into Mississippi from North Carolina. So how do I know who's who and if that's the right person and if that's gonna lead me back to a tribe?
I can answer that. I definitely think Red Crane can answer it better than I can. But I would say when it comes to the family, right? So say if you track your family from one place to another in the migration, and that family story has their tribal name, then that's that's 8 times out of 10. That's what it is in the historical sense, meaning the names that we have today, right? Seminole, Cherokee, Creek, shit like that. Once you get into that story, then you get the elders to actually start to rebuild it, right? From what they have, they start to put these pieces together. Now, on the genealogy side, you follow the family, not just the actual person. So her name's like Mary Smith, and it's 1,000 Mary Smiths, but you know her household, you follow that household in migration. Now, if you walk that back to Carolina and you say, well, damn, this is the land they inhabited. I know I'm indigenous, but I just don't know the clan. What do I do? You go to a tribal nation or different tribal nations and understand their way of life. And then you find out their way of, I use enrollment for lack of better words. And then I guarantee you, each one of these tribes has a way, a ritual, a ceremony that can bring that back. So with you and all the elder women in the family, because y'all got a big ass family. I ain't gonna. I don't want y'all got a big ass family. Like I don't know what your aunties be doing, but your aunties. But so basically, when that's done, right? So say, can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. So say when you go through the ritual, y'all get y'all clan, then you become part of our tribal nation. Now, though you may not be in the same nation by name as your ancestors, you've done something that your ancestors done. When times got hard, when they needed to restore, they went to those they had something in common with. They showed themselves approved, and then they became a part of. So now you say, well, damn, my family Wale, but your family wasn't Wale back then. And you say, well, shit, I got the history to prove that the whole land was Wale. Tell me you don't got that history, Shayla. You got it.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
So that puts you in the ancient mindset, not just Wale, but the Talogiwi, the Shawanoki, right? The Ogeechee, the Savannah, the Yimusi, the Yamasi, the Hichiti. All of these people inhabited this land and were once ancient people of this land, whether they were born here or migrated here. So the goal is to reinstill that sacred time. So even if you can't find it, and your family say, damn, but shit, we want to do tribal shit. It's a tribe out there that got love for you, that appreciate you, right? That understand y'all fight. Then why not? You get what I'm saying? Unify there and start to restore that nation. That's what book 4 is about. Month, that's what your quote by. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you already know.
Yeah, so when you do hear those stories, they you hear Seminole, you understand. Okay, boom. So we Seminole. That mean that my family was a part of that fight that said, "Hey, we not joining the Creek Nation," because that's literally what Seminole means. Somebody that's running away from the Creek Nation. Literally, it don't mean running away from slavery. The people running away from death because it's either they join the Creek Nation or die because there was a war of extermination on the Creek or on the Yamasi led by the Creeks. So what if you say, well, shit, my family was Yamasi and Creek, and being that the Creek or the Muskogee or this branch, Coweta, did so bad to my dad's side of the family, and that's my mother's side of the family, I got the birthright to live by my family side. That's what I'm gonna do. Who gonna tell you wrong? If you say my family was a part of a confederacy, or we was this band within this confederacy, or we would like to return to this part, how do we do that? Or what tribes are in North Carolina that have, you know what I'm saying, that we may be related to? How can we find out? How can I contact these tribes to find my family on these family roads? How can I contact these tribes to see? Hey, well, look, I'm not a fan of DNA tests, but is y'all DNA on file? Yeah, our DNA is on file. Well, shit, I want to take the same test y'all took to see if I'm related to y'all. These are things that can be done to ensure that one is accurate, right? By going to these people, by feeling their spirit, by testing the blood, by testing the knowledge. Because what happens when the Catawba called their land Yupaha? What happens when the Yuchi called the land Yupaha? What happened when the Tamukwa called it Yupa'a? And the Appalachian called it Yupa'a, but they all speak different languages. Obviously, the land is Yupa'a, so why not unify with the people of the land? Some take that and say, but I'm Cherokee. But don't the Cherokee inhabit the land above? I hope I ain't do too much. I hope I answered your question.
You did.
Sean, talk to me. You over there quiet. Let's see. All right. Questions. You good, Shayla? You ain't got no more questions?
No, I guess I keep reading after you explain more about the conjurer.
I'm gonna give you two other. Do you got a pen, or if you could type this down, write these names down for me.
Okay, I'm ready.
So you have Charity Haggy, Charyhagey. That's the conjurer of Tugaloo.
Okay.
Then you have the long warrior of Tanusi. Tanusi is Tunasi.
Okay.
And it also can be Tanasi, which you notice Tanasi is a Yuchi word, but he's Cherokee.
Like Tennessee.
That's the word. That's facts. That's the word. Tennessee comes from Tanasi. So that's why. Oh damn, the Yuchi, Tennessee, Tanasi is a town that was located there, but he had Yamasi ancestry. The third person I want you to look up is Caesar Augustus. Caesar Augustus is in the letter, and he's called the Yamasi Cherokee King. So there were certain ties between the Yamasi and people that were considered Cherokee during the 1700s and the Yamasi War, where these men basically had the voice to speak for not only their family, but they were concerned and also for their father's side of the family. This is where our social system come in at. So those are three chiefs that were considered Cherokee but had Yamasi ancestry. And if not mistaken, it was Caesar Augustus that warned the Yamasi that he basically was saying like he was mad at his branch of the Yamasi. I have to be careful because that branch was selling people for the Europeans, and he like, bruh, y'all don't see what y'all doing. Y'all basically about to set shit off. Y'all fucking us up. But then when the Europeans start enslaving them, he end up writing to the Europeans like, shit, look, y'all started. If y'all go, if y'all go to enslaving this side of this whoop, y'all gonna have a problem with Cherokee. So now you start to see like, okay, well, wait, this shit deeper than was thought because you have some Yuchi that went to war against the Cherokee, like the Savannah Band Yuchi. So now let's ask this question. I'll ask this question and I'll answer this question. Tomochichi returned where? And he called what his ancestral land? The Savannah River by Mount Pleasant. But the Mount Pleasant people were Yuchi. So was Tomochichi Yamasi? Was he Yuchi? Or was he Muskogee because he spoke the Muskogean language? See, it can be confusing. But you get into the ceramics, you look at his tattoo, look what he called his ancient land. You from the Savannah. He was just called Yamasi. But not only was he from the Savannah, he had a sister that was, or a clan sister that was from Kusa, which is in her name. So now you, the Yuchi, the people who became known as Yamasi, the people that became known as Cherokee, and the Kusa. But it's not confusing. It's not confusing. It's just understanding kinship. If you are, give me an animal. Give me any. I don't like giving people. I don't like doing that. I don't know why. But if you have an animal in your mind, you provide me one.
A toad.
So toad. So say if your family's Toad Clan, and you have a child with somebody that's Deer Clan or something like that, and Deer Clan is at war, but your son is like, wait, my daddy them. I want to speak up for my daddy them. He would have that right within the social system. So now Europeans would say, well, wait, he is Wale Seminole, but in reality, he's just Toad Clan. You get what I'm saying? But they would use their tribal names which grew into that confusion. So don't let their tribal names confuse you when you already know what the land is. You gave the bill. It's already in you. It's already there. So use that to, to navigate with it. Like, okay, you know what? Shit, this is what the land was, and this is what it was known as. We're indigenous to this land. We may have lost a piece of our, but it's time to restore. That's how the family get back right. Go ahead, cuz, talk to me.
Yo.
I'm
Oh
here.
man, my bad. I'm gonna just start it off. Pita isi, ukwale, okoro, ika isi na, isapu, pete ikwi, na isi ni kwi, isapu, pita hochi, pata, hochi, kwi, okoro, eo. That's so in English, that's bound by blood. What ran through them runs through you. Protect yourself and one another.
Yeah, go ahead and send me that so I can put that in chapter 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and send me that.
But you already know what, you know what it's really saying.
Oh nah, when you started off, I'm already knowing. You get what I'm saying? Nigga bound by that ancient sin, right? Uh
Yeah. Yeah.
and when sin is mine, you get what I'm saying? Or ours, you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's our ancient blood, our ancients' blood. You get what I'm saying? That bonds us, that keeps us together in ceremony. You get what I'm saying?
Doing
And
that work today,
generation.
bro.
Like, so, yeah. Though I say that language, I understand why people feel how they feel about us learning different languages. It's because we're not alone. You know what I mean? And with you speaking it and I'm understanding it, I get why people are upset, bro. When you're alone speaking that or attempting to speak it and nobody understands you, it can be hurtful. It can really make you feel like you're isolated.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you speak, yeah, it can make you feel like you're isolated. So now you feel like, you know what? I'm this and they aren't this. And they speak in my language. It's not theirs. It's like, bro, okay. But if you speak it with us, even though it's not our birth language or our ancient language, in 200 years, it can be our fourth great grandchildren, sixth great grandchildren's ancient language. You know what I'm saying? Something that they learned in house, something that they were born and that they walk with. So that's beautiful, cuz. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's already in the message sent. It was already ready to be sent to you. I just waited to say it out loud.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I put the work
Cause
in.